sorry, I got William Byrd, and also Emily Lundberg, who is helping them and partnering with them all along the way to help build this incredible app that you're about to see. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to them. Thank you.
Let me. All right. Can you see that?
Very
Yep.
good.
All right, so I'll kick off just introducing myself. Yeah, I'm a senior technical consultant here at Quickbase. Been working with Robbins and Morton, I guess almost maybe a year and a half now, about on their apps and their realm and everything. And I think we've gotten really far in that amount of time. I'm so excited to show everyone what we've done. So I'll pass it over to, I guess, William.
Hey, everybody. I'm William Byrd. I'm a senior estimator here at Robbins and Morton. I'm in our corporate offices in Birmingham, Alabama.
And I'm Scott Bullock. I am the division manager of pre-construction in our Nashville office. So I handle, just like William, stuff that comes in and out of pre-construction.
Okay. All right.
So just to give you a little background about Robbins and Morton, we're a privately held construction firm. We do specialize in large, complex projects. We are definitely a leader in healthcare construction. I think we were ranked number 3 this past year in healthcare construction, and we are always in the nation's top 100 largest builders. And we are celebrating our 80th year this year as we go through. So just a little bit of background there about Robbins and Morton.
We've got offices all over the Southeast. Like I said, Birmingham is our corporate headquarters, but we're as far west as San Antonio, as far south as Miami. Um, our predominantly our footprint is in the Southeast, but we've done work uh, in Maine. We've done work out in Oregon. So um, just the right kind of client will travel kind of outside of our footprint. Like Scott said, 85% of our work is healthcare. That's what we're known for. That's what we most of our projects are. So we also do some commercial and hospitality, some other kind of governmental work as well, kind of make up the rest of the of our portfolio.
So just
So
kind of give you a background here. So over the last several years, you can see we've grown from 800 million to close to $2 billion worth of work. And as you can see, we have almost $1.8 billion worth of healthcare work in 2023. So this year we're looking to have about $3 billion in sales. So a lot of work coming in and out of pre-construction. So that henceforth we needed a way to keep track of it.
that's right. I hired on in 2017, just kind of at the $1 billion mark, and we've tripled our uh, projects coming in, but pre-con has not tripled in staff. So we needed to we'll get into the app and how we're using Quickbase to kind of speed up our guys and report up what they're doing. We got about 1,500 employees, and right now we have call it 55 or 60 pre-con team members out of that. And so with $3 billion worth of work, 54 of us are the ones that are getting it set up, getting identifying costs for construction, getting our kind of all of the pre-construction, all of the estimating, all of the planning, all of that runs through us. So not that we're not getting help from everybody else, but there is definitely a bottleneck in pre-con. We don't have to hit this too hard, but just to kind of give a rough idea, I don't know if everybody on the calls construction in the construction industry, but a big difference for what Robbins and Morton does is most of our work is negotiated. So we spend a lot of time in the early design stages. So when drawings are 50% complete, we're pre-con is working in those drawings as opposed to a hard bid contractor that only looks at the drawings when they're 100% ready. They spend a week or two on a set of drawings and put a price to it. We spend months or even years on some of our jobs in the early design phases. So with that, those 55 or so pre-con people are tied up on projects for longer, and we use Quickbase to help kind of assign out workload or check on workload and assign out the schedule of, hey, we're delivering a conceptual design estimate or a schematic design estimate.
Well, thanks for that overview. I don't think I even know all of that stuff about Robbins and Morton, honestly, on how long you guys are actually on these projects. But yeah, so now getting into a bit of like what the challenges were and how we kind of hopefully solve for them in Quickbase. So I mean, the number one challenge at the beginning was everything was kind of uh, entered across multiple platforms, which I'm sure people are familiar with. So I know we're using like Excel, SharePoint, Monday, Uninet Procore. And a lot of these are still in use at Robbins and Morton as well today. But the team came to Quickbase with the goal of like centralizing all of this, at least on the pre-construction side. So we developed an application that currently has like about 30 or more tables and over 100 different pipelines, kind of streamlining their workflow as much as possible. Um, and this application, we'll get into kind of the weeds of it in a bit, but it tracks everything from like the high project level to project team members and allocation to action items, schedules, different project scopes and statuses, and a lot more. So we'll get to the ERD and some reports next. But anything to add there, William and Scott?
No.
That's
All right.
that was
So
that was the biggest challenge for us. Scott was kind of responsible for reporting for Nashville. I was responsible for reporting for Birmingham. And I tell everybody this whole Quickbase effort was entirely selfish because I was tired of having to do these reports.
and how long did this generally take you? Like,
No, it took up several hours, probably 4 to 8 hours a month at least. And that was just me.
yeah.
Right. It took me a couple hours a month to whenever the reports came out. And as you can see, the reports were much different from office to office.
Yeah, and this is all like manual in Excel. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy to me. But
We,
I've been there too.
we would create these and the information would get overridden. Nothing was saved. We didn't have any good history other than a print off. So we've been able to fix that.
Definitely. All right, so this is the ERD of the whole app. So I mean, I obviously won't go through everything here, but um, the project is the central location of everything, and we kind of had different silos that branch off of it. So things like project updates where we can track history over time of these dates and other like notes on the project is really key. Also tracking phases and status history of projects, which I don't think that that was like currently tracked, at least not in this way that it is in Quickbase. Also tracking like things like partners and vendor associations, as well as like team member assignments, and even reporting on like depart by office and division level, because we have like this employees table where you assign employees to projects. So a lot going on. We're gonna drill down further into a lot of these things in the upcoming slides, but just a high level overview there. So this is an example project. I don't know, Scarlett, do you want to go over kind of what some of the
Yeah,
stuff is
so
here?
yeah, so it's kind of an example that we developed with Emily's help. Kind of keeps up with the estimate number, the project title, which division the project is in, and which office, because we may have the Birmingham office as our central office, but it has different areas of work that handle through there. So keep up with our clients, who's the lead estimator on it, what the project phase and the status of it is, and then also kept up with kind of our pre-con budget, are our budgets over or under our owner's budget they had? Are we on schedule or not for pre-con? And then kind of just kicks up all the information that goes with the project. When's it start? How many months is it going to be? What area is it in? Because we categorize kind of all our projects. If we won the job, if it was a hard bid, if it was an RFP. So we had no other means previously for tracking how many projects came through pre-con that were RFPs, hard bid, or whatever to know what our win rate was. So that was part of our uh, part of this project that we went through to help kind of not only the tracking, but go through that to get some information, statistics as we went through. So, but you can kind of see this is the project details of that pay, of each project starts off.
And we'll get into hopefully an app demo a little later as well. But yeah, so second challenge was kind of what I mentioned earlier, just tracking like status and phase changes over time and also key dates on the schedule. So getting out of those Excel-based reports and being able to generate some automatic reports just like live time and Quickbase. Um, so the solution for that in Quickbase, it was actually it was a solution that I actually came up with some other people here at Quickbase, because we had about 100 date fields that were all put into individual like, columns on a project update level that I then needed to pivot into rows to then make a Gantt chart. So what I did was actually create a very long if then statement or even like a case statement basically to pivot like these 100 fields into like 100 different rows on the back end for their schedule, which we'll look at in a minute. Um, and then we also just basically have like automated status and phase history tracking. So, dates automatically log in the background when someone makes an update there. Um, and yeah, I just mentioned that kind of timeline in a week tweet format. So let's take a look at their schedules now. So this is an example schedule that is a live time report in Quickbase now. Obviously, a lot easier than hopefully the Excel reports you guys are using. Anything you want to add to how you're using these reports now?
Yeah. So all the we have every month there's a corporate meeting basically that all the office operation managers meet with the head of pre-construction and the CFO, CEOs, and they go through every office, what's going on in pre-con. So now all the schedules look alike. They're easier to read, they're easier to understand, and much clearer than what we had before.
So another version of the schedule that we created was like a Kanban sort of schedule for like the current week. So in Quickbase, you guys might be familiar with like the calendar reports. There's not a great way to show like a week like report like this because they kind of without like times of day because they kind of all bunch up at the top of the day of the week basically when you're trying to look at it. Um, Rather than just kind of looking at this list view day by day. So what I did was actually like hard coded this into like a hidden table basically with dates that would constantly be updated by pipelines and then generated the Gantt chart from that like kind of pick list of the hard coded dates in the system. Um, and it seems like so it generated these views that are filtered by like team member and projects that people are working on, so people can look at, what's going on their own projects, in the current week. Anything more to add there, Scott William? All right.
This has been very helpful for our kind of manager level guys in pre-con. They're able to see their teams and the major deliverable dates on a calendar and a kind of week by week Kanban schedule.
What is what are the colors indicate on the Kanban? Like the shades set the status?
So the shade is the design phase that we're in.
Okay.
All of the SDs are green and all of the kind of purple are the final CD round. So, and we've got that consistent across all of the reporting. So everybody's kind of, or has got that kind of in the back of their mind when they're looking at a schedule.
Yeah,
Right.
I like we have the same colors here.
Smart.
Okay, so third challenge was just like limited cross-platform integrations. So I mean, like I mentioned, Robert Martin are using a bunch of these different platforms and hosting, project information across them. So we want to at least start making Quickbase sort of the central hub for this information as much as possible. We're sort of still in the process of that. But a few things that we've done is integrated SharePoint into Quickbase to pull like new project data on a daily basis. Also accounting data that's getting uploaded from Sage into SharePoint as well. And then kind of merged in processes from like Monday.com, which we'll see in a minute. Do you, William Scott, do you guys actually still use Monday.com? Does the MP&E team still use them, or are they completely out of that?
They're completely out of it now, as far as
Okay, great. So yeah, here's an example of Monday.com dashboard that one of the divisions of their team was using. And everything was like editable on these line items by project, and then you have like child line items underneath each project for different phases under the project that they had assignments to and separate statuses of. So then, with the new grid reports in Quickbase, it was possible to basically replicate a lot of what was going on in Monday here. So, this is just their dashboard. The entire workflow for this team is just on their dashboard. They shouldn't really have to be clicking around into tables or even into records very much. They would just be updating the fields here. And then we have like pop-up buttons to add, additional lines or assignments to people because there isn't In some ways, you still have to add like additional records in QuickBase. You know how it's built with our table relationships, but overall, like we are able to put their entire workflow into just like their one homepage, and I guess officially get them out of Monday, which is great. Um, Anything further to add there? All right. So last solution before our app demo. So yeah, once we built the first application, which is really the hub of everything for pre-con, it became apparent like, we could expand off of that into, subsets of pre-con or even other teams in the next stages of like operations. So we created a secondary services application, which is really like expanded tracking across the projects and used a variety of sync tables and table imports and pipelines and everything to get both applications talking to each other in the way that they need to be without um, overloading one app or the other with a bunch of additional information. But we were able to also bring over similar concepts of like scheduling and statuses and everything, so that not only the pre-con team is, seeing these same color coding and schedules and updates, but it's really starting to expand beyond just those lead estimators into other teams that are getting familiar with the database in the same way. So here's the just BRD of the services app. It's a lot smaller, obviously, than the pre-construction app, but you can see we have a few connected tables. We have this table, which is table-to-table imports, going back and forth, honestly, between both apps to sync like this project team member table. Um, and then you have other tables here that really reflects like the processes we already created in the other application with like statuses and phases and updates and everything like that. All right. So I think the next thing is our app demo, but William, Scott, do you have anything else to mention here?
No, other than it was the the service app started maybe tail end of last year, and because there was so much overlap with the information that they needed, like from the pre-con app, it was super easy to build off of that. And that's kind of what we're continuing to do, is kind of refining the pre-con app, but it's pretty much there and everybody's using it. But now we're finding new kind of other departments to pull into Quickbase because Precon kind of held a lot of centralized information that gets repeated a lot, and so Precon is kind of the center hub that is building out.
Okay. All right. So take a break maybe to do a quick application demo. Do you guys have a specific project that you would want to show people, or you can also use my test project if you want, but I will stop the screen share.
You got one in mind? We could probably do Auburn.
Yeah. Why don't you just pull one up?
Let me see.
So all of this was spun up in a year and a half. Is that correct? I think
That's right.
Correct.
Wow. Yeah.
So we had kind of background on it. So we had been searching for a out of the off the shelf app to do all what we were doing, and just we're not able to ever find anything that was a good solution for it. So then we found y'all. So we had a pretty good idea of what we wanted, and we threw a lot at Emily on that first day of, hey, this is what we're is what we're thinking. But yeah, it's been the Precon app was probably fully developed and in use 9 months in. Um, we just continue to build off of that.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm such good detail in there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why we were able to go so fast is because William and team had done so much of the discovery and design of at least like what you wanted in the fields and everything beforehand. I remember we had like an Excel sheet of like hundreds of fields, I think that and layout and everything, which is super helpful to get us started. So definitely like great collaboration throughout the process here. So I just pulled up my test one. Was there a specific one you wanted to show, or we could probably just do, I mean, I have a lot of data on this test one if we want to just do this one. So we saw the project details tab. Let me collapse this. Um, all right. I will maybe hand it over to you, William and Scott, to kind of show from like an end user perspective, how you're using this piece.
So, kind of talk about our integration. So, a project like this would begin with a lead estimator going into our Uninet, which is our CRM software that we use, and requesting an estimate number. That is so a lot of this information is triggered, or a lot of this information is housed in Uninet. And when that estimate number is requested, that triggers Quickbase to kind of reach into SharePoint, which is Uninet exports into SharePoint when an estimate number is created. So that triggers Quickbase to reach into SharePoint and pull information like the E number, project name, division, office, some of the project details, all come from SharePoint. It saves the estimator time on populating a lot of that information. And so when when a new project is created in Quickbase, it's already assigned to the person that requested the estimate number and is already assigned that lead estimator, senior pre-con manager. So we've got those kind of employee tables tied to each other. But then as the project progresses, as the team grows, we add mechanical estimators, electrical estimators, or additional pre-con team members. We can kind of tie each of those guys to this project. So when their name gets added here, when they log into Quickbase, they see that, hey, this is one of my projects that I'm a part of. We use that for kind of workload management from the manager side, and then kind of just some kind of dashboard and tracking information for each of our employees or each of our pre-con guys to say, all right, I'm working on $300 million worth of projects over the 4 or 5 jobs that I've got. Scott, you want to talk about self-perform and smart path?
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a self-performed work division, mainly does concrete, drywall, general works, low voltage. So we needed to keep track of what on each project, what we were going to self-perform, the values of the self-performed work, so we could report out to those divisions, and so they would know that those projects were there and that, hey, they were coming down the pike. Our smart fab is kind of our prefabrication area of our company, where we have Matt Hardy is kind of over that area. He needs to keep track of all the smart fab type things between prefab OR ceilings, toilet pods, head walls, anything like that might be coming through a project, so we can keep up with that information here. It's kind of where it starts. And then our ERS is kind of our Division 10 purchasing guide, and it also provides other materials for the jobs that we do. So we wanted to kind of keep those tracked there and know what was coming down, and then feed that information to all those departments.
So I don't know if you want to go over all of this information down here, but yeah.
Yeah, this was mainly just some stuff that we keep up with on every job to know, hey, what is the job going to be phased by schedule or not? Are we using our scheduling? Or are we using a third party scheduler? There's a whole bunch of stuff, building envelope, and then like VDC. Is our BIM team needing? Are they needed for the job or not?
Yeah.
And then with every job, we have our operations manager that we would keep up with here. When a project manager or superintendent gets assigned, then we can add that information along to it, to the job.
Are there notifications built in where people get pinged in their emails or um, on an app or anything like that to know when they're assigned? Or is it just like you tell people, hey, go to this app every day and this is what you have to look for?
We do have some notifications, some actually reports that go out weekly that say, hey, these three projects to our self-perform work or smart fab or even building skins um, department, so that they know that, hey, we got three new projects that came up in this past week. I need to be paying attention to those and know that those are coming at some point in time.
Nice.
Just to make sure we hit on this, since I know the project update is a big piece. So just a background on like the development of this. So a project update is basically it's another table where you're adding like hundreds of fields. Well, not adding fields, I guess hundreds of dates to fields. But what it's doing on the back end is actually it's copying over the previous update, so you don't have to edit those fields, every single time. It should backfill everything that you had there. But you can see like we have a ton of dates that people are changing and adding over time. But the good thing about like a project update is that it now records that history of date changes. So you can see, you know, uh, date slipping if you need to track that and report on that. But then it also, what the schedule is doing is it's pulling the most recent update of each one of these dates into the schedule and making it a line item, both on the schedule and on that Kanban board that we showed earlier. So that's just a bit about the back end, but do you guys want to talk about like, how you are using these updates and, maybe sort of why these are important?
There is a
Yes.
question here, sorry,
Oh, yeah.
from Yazan. He asked if you don't mind, can you go into detail about the connection with SharePoint? What approach do you use to get the data into Quickbase?
Yeah, good question. So they actually already had Roberts Morton already had a lot of their data in SharePoint. They use things like lists and items in SharePoint already, which there's like a native Quickbase pipeline for those. So I can even let me see if I can go to one of these pipelines. So I think this is the one that is most used. So then when a new item is created in Uninet, it already was going into SharePoint. That was something that a different technical team set up from an integration perspective from Uninet to SharePoint. So um, then from there, when like that new project was created as an item in SharePoint, it's just triggering this pipeline, obviously doing some queries and everything to like look up the information on the project level in SharePoint and then creating the project. in Quickbase, with a bunch of mapping and everything. And then it creates a bunch of child records in Quickbase for project details, such as the client, so the associated client, it will it will search for a client if they exist, and if not, it'll create the client and associate it to the project. Um, Same thing with like an architect or a partner. We have like a separate partners table, which we'll search for and then associate with the project through like a project partnership linkage. It will also add in team members. So like the lead estimator, like William was talking about earlier, is automatically assigned when the project's created in SharePoint. Um, and also add things like the SPM assignment and operations manager assignment, um, and project manager assignment too. And then it will even add in, things like office and division to the project. So I only have two more steps in this pipeline available. I'm almost out of real estate in this one pipeline. It's, what is that, 24 steps. So kind of a lot going on, but I mean, all of the data was luckily in SharePoint already that I needed. So it's just, basically searching and mapping everything out in this pipeline.
Yeah, that's very extensive. Yazan, was that what, did that cover what you were hoping for? Hopefully. Yes. Okay, awesome. Cool. Thank you.
All right. So back on the project updates, I don't know if William Scott, you have anything to add here?
Yeah, so we ask our team to log in maybe once a week or so to make sure that the dates that they have are still uh, correct, make sure the budget hasn't changed. Um, so they're, I'd say they're in it at least once a week or so. Um, Another benefit, like maybe as I'm sitting here, I got an email from a contractor or subcontractor saying, "Hey, here's a quote, but it's not a project of mine, and honestly, I didn't know whose project it was." Because all of this is in one centralized location, I can just search for Tallahassee, Florida, Florida State University Northwest Campus Hospital, and I can see who the lead estimator is, shoot and forward off the that quote quickly, instead of what it used to be would try to flip through all of the reports or wait till kind of a department wide meeting and ask, "Hey, who's working on this?" So getting everything into one location has been a huge help.
So, and let me show you. Let me go back to this project. How this all those dates then populate on an individual like schedule. So within the project itself, we have all these like milestones that populate like sorted and grouped by um, their phases for the projects. On this test one, I literally just put in like all dates going like one at a time all the way from November. So we have these types of timeline reports, and then obviously these get populated on the overall timeline reports we showed earlier, like on the Kanban and everything. I do want to show people, just if anyone's curious, this date formula. So what this is doing is it's taking all of those like 100+ fields that they're adding in the project update, and it's taking the most recent update of those fields, and it's pivoting it through just like this like case formula, and it's pivoting it into rows. So the way it does that is basically we have like those 100 fields that are like basically hard coded as tasks in the system. So every time a new project is added, all of those tasks get added. Because it's kind of a standardized process. And then when all those task records are added, it populates these dates once people start actually adding them in the update. So it was just like kind of a quick and dirty way that we were able to pivot columns into rows on the Quickbase side, which some of you might know is not necessarily the easiest thing to do in some cases. But luckily, this was like a easy fix or an easy solution because they're just pulling like the most recent date here. All right. Okay. Well, I know we have, 13-ish minutes left. William Scott, is there anything else specifically, in either of the apps that you want to show people?
Well, I think one of the things that we were able to do with this was with putting all the dates in there. If the estimator goes in and puts the date of when drawings are coming in, when he thinks the estimate is due, we can now create reports that show 6 weeks out, 6 months out, how those projects are going to start flowing in, and if stuff's going to start stacking up, so we can start planning earlier instead of when it all hits the fan.
Right. So
Emily,
let me.
it might be cool to show them the yearly metrics dashboard tab that you
Yeah,
work.
Oh yeah. Let me see. Is it okay to show the stuff that's in there?
yeah.
Okay.
Its averages.
Um,
So this is something that we have not been able to do in pre-con or never put the time in to do it. But now we can kind of across the whole company or down into each individual division or even team member, and we can say, hey, for projects, what was kind of the breakdown of projects? Small projects that are under, I think we said under 25 million and down. Medium projects are 25 to 75, 75 to 200. I forget exactly what our number or breakdown was, but um, now we're able to see by division, by office, what kind of projects are they working on, and this just been this has been a very unique metric that we have not ever been able to kind of get our head wrap our heads around.
there's a lot here. I saw a question in the chat, I think. Oh yeah, what's your favorite part of the app? What would you guys say?
The fact that I'm not having to build out the reports every month.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and actually seeing the data and information much clearer.
Yeah, I think you might have already been in the middle of answering that question as I was typing it, but yeah, this looks great.
Yeah, the color coding and the button usage and the usage of the timeline reports and just every report, the Gantt report. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I think everybody's app should look like this. It's complex, but also very digestible. Curious if your end users are feeling the same way when they're working through this. Are you getting that kind of feedback like, hey, this is so much better than before, or what are they saying to you about this app?
Well, before they didn't do much. It was on William and
Oh.
me. So for a lot of them, we got to fill that out now. I'm like, uh-huh, yeah. So I don't have to go ask you what the heck's going on. But we get more information quicker, sooner, than we were before.
Nice. So it's a matter of coaching them to like, hey, you got to use this now.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
That's right. But in the end, we did our best. I mean, kind of starting when we started developing, we didn't want anybody spending more than 5 minutes on an update on just a normal week to week basis. Now a new project start that takes a little bit longer, but the hope is that if an estimator's got 3 or 4 projects that they're actively working on that they could make an update in 5 or 10 minutes for all those projects on a Friday afternoon as they before they head out.
Nice. And do you feel like that's true, that they are hitting those numbers?
I think
Uh,
so.
yeah.
Really? I'm actually even surprised to hear like, 5 minutes. I mean, I guess just because they wouldn't be putting in all the dates right at once. So that's
Right.
good. Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, let me exit out of here. I think we had maybe one or two more slides that I can go back to on the other side.
Yeah, there is another question here from Yazan. Do you pull any data from Quickbase into SharePoint? And do you use Power Automate or Power Apps with Quickbase?
Good question. So no, it is something that we have considered pushing from Quickbase into SharePoint just recently, but the Quickbase and SharePoint setup right now are quite different. So we haven't kind of nailed down that mapping if we're even going to do that. We're also maybe working toward getting a lot of the what's done in SharePoint into Quickbase instead, because Quickbase is just so much more powerful in terms of user experience and reporting than SharePoint. Um, but I know that just like on the internal, like Roberts and Morton's side, that they've been using SharePoint for a while, and I think they have some Power Automates there, but I haven't used it specifically in this application. So let's see. Yeah, so I mean, this was just an overview of what we've done in around the last year and a half. With like the two apps and a ton of different pipelines and everything, and lots of users at this point. I think we have maybe around 70 users. And we're talking through another kind of use case for the pre-qualification side, which kind of relates back to the SharePoint piece, because everything pre-qual is doing is currently in their SharePoint environment. So we're doing discovery on that right now of how we're going to transition them into Quickbase. And maybe things like Power Automates might come into play there. We'll see how complex we want to get there. But that's the next step. Right.
Great. Yeah, this is amazing. I think if anything, my takeaway from this is that the incredible partnership that William and Scott has with Emily and the technical consultant team to create a solution that fits and is very customized to your needs, because in the end of the day, I don't think you're going to find an out of the box app out there that's going to deliver exactly what you need. So I think it's incredible what you've done in a year and a half, and excited to see, the next iteration when you're adding additional and expanding. It's really awesome to see that that is the plan. So that for me is what really stands out the most. So thank you so much. I'd love to know like how that partnership has been. If there's any tips on what you would recommend if you want to work with people like Emily, I don't know, stuff like that, feel free to put in a good word for Emily. Love to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. Emily's been great to work with, and she takes my chicken scratch emails and builds it into the system.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say on my end, like, William Scott have been like such great collaborators. I mean, it's way easier to build when the customer is, responsive and on top of their action items and everything like they've been throughout the process. So that's been super helpful. Um, William Scott, I don't know, did you guys have any questions on your end for the crew? Good.
anybody's in the construction world, or I guess if we're looking to see where else we can implement Quickbase. So
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple people, they couldn't make it today, but I do know a couple people that are in the construction world that maybe you wouldn't mind talking to. So maybe I can do like a introduction to like Meg Kearney and stuff. She works out of a construction company. I can't remember. I don't know. I think if it's Wendover, I don't know, in in the Boston area. So maybe that might be kind of nice to connect. And
Mhm.
they do very extensive, very expansive stuff as well. So might be fun to exchange ideas. So I'll make sure to do an introduction post meeting. I think that'd be kind of nice. And we
Yeah.
do that here, by the way. We do matchmaking at the Qrew. We like to connect customers to customers. That's what we do. I want to do more of that. So anytime you want to meet with other construction companies or customers or anyone else in your field, or hanging out like, hey, what do you do in healthcare? What is your perspective? How do you deal with billing? How do you deal with this? So customers, I think, have the better wealth of information because they've got the direct experience that they can talk about. And it's just so much more valuable, I think, to another customer. So that's why we do the Qrew, because that's where we make this happen. Any other thoughts and or questions for Scott and William and Emily? Oh yes, thank you, Maria, for posting about the community. We do have the community site. If you haven't been there, it's a great place to ask questions. Or check out what's new. This is also where our product team posts feature product updates and all that good stuff as well. So a great place to connect with others. And if there isn't any other questions, that is a-okay. We'll go ahead and end today. I want to thank Scott and William and Emily for sharing your use case. I think it's very incredible. Like I said earlier, a true testament to the partnership that you and collaboration that you've done together in a year and a half. You have clearly have done so much and have created something amazing that's very complex, but also very easy, clean to learn, and aesthetically pleasing. That's probably one of the most prettiest apps I've seen in a long time. And so I really appreciate that nice touch that you have there. So and I'll go ahead and send out a recap and email out to others. And also I'll follow up with Scott and William. There's a couple things that I will do after this meeting to, like the introduction as well as some other incentive stuff that I'll talk about. And we'll go from there. So thank you everybody for joining today. I want to thank you for your time and hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Take care.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.